now I have the extreme pleasure of interviewing an old friend, Mr. Richard Jackson. Hi, Richard.
Hello.
First met Richard just a little over a decade ago. I think it's safe to say that Mr. Jackson is probably one of the most experienced real estate agents on this coast. So that's why I thought it would be a fantastic thing to actually get to know Richard and his story.
I remember we met when I was running the Domus Ferrari group, and you were providing excellent finance, and you're still doing the same. So you really have a good team and connection with all the bank, and your people are licensed as well, I think. So, it's somebody that is going to do the best for the client.
And on your LinkedIn profile, it says that you're an experienced real estate executive and global leader in property development, including resort development, vacation ownership, and resort marketing and sales. Now, that's your tagline on LinkedIn. I kind of thought that was a little bit light.
So I'm originally from Boston, as you know. Went to university there and was working in real estate there, got my broker's license, which is very difficult to get these days. And I ended up actually in a company called Bolt Family Trust when I was about 25. And that company was, leader in Martha's Vineyard properties. Martha's Vineyard is an island very well known by the celebrities and so forth. It's about a 45-minute boat ride from Cape Cod. And he had a timeshare project there, as well as he had a lot of land and houses he was selling. I answered that in the paper. It said, have fun and make money. And I was in the retailing business out of university, and it's quite boring and not really any money in it. So I answered that. The rest is history. He was a great mentor. I learned a lot from him. And when I got into the timeshare business, it was brand new. They were talking 1977. And it was, I think there were 34 resorts worldwide and Interval International. And I met Mario, who was the president and owner at the time of Interval, and thinking someday there'll be hundreds and hundreds of these. And actually, looked at it this morning, there's 7,400 resorts worldwide and 5.9 million members. So it's turned into a long-term viable business, although in Europe there was, I think, abused with deceptive sales and marketing practices. But it overall delivered a lot of great holidays for a lot of people. Yeah, so I eventually moved into a situation where I had my own company, marketing company, and we would do workouts for banks. So we would buy develops and then convert them into timeshare. And that led to a friend of mine that called me up from Europe, and he said, Richard, you have to come over here. He said, it's brand new market. Product cost is very low. The people take 4 weeks holiday a year, unlike Americans, 2 weeks. And I think it's a good play. And so I said, all right, well, let's raise some money, and I'll come over and come back at Christmas. We'll put the limited partnership together and we'll go buy a resort in Tenerife. That probably would have been around 85. There was somebody that worked for a developer that had not been paid, and he decided he would help himself with some of the reports. So worked for me in the States, and I sat down with him, and he showed me all the cost of sale, the marketing costs, and so on and so forth. And I said, this is like the U.S. 10 years ago. So I saw it as the curve in the U.S. had reached a certain point, and I felt that this was a beginning in Europe. So we raised this money, and we went to Tenerife. Tenerife was a great place because it had year-round clients, and people, mainly holiday clients, not investment in real estate, more holiday. And we opened up a resort called Sunset Bay, and that ended up being 200 units. Later, Global Development Limited, where we had what we called the Global Vacation Club. That became we had 17 resorts and across Europe, really. Spain, England, Scotland, Austria, France. And so that became a great business. We were an innovator and the first ones to come up with a points product, and innovator in many ways. And one of the things that I always felt was so important, something I learned when I was in my first job with Bolt Family Trust, had a really very good mentor there. He said, Richard, look for the right people. Hire the strongest people you can, strongest team you can, and delegate authority and responsibility to the lowest possible level. They said, you're excellent, but you can't do it all. And I see this happens a lot of times where you get somebody who's at the top and they're not delegating it properly, and so that it slows things down. So we were able to move at a very, very fast speed to develop really a leading timeshare company in Europe. We won the Hall of Fame award we won Gold Crown status for our resorts, and most of those managers now are multimillionaires in their own businesses. So I'm really proud of that. And
You were running 17 resorts. Were those 70 resorts there? Or
no, most of them we built, but some of them we acquired. The one in Scotland we built. The one in the Lakes region was a acquisition, so depending where it was. And really what we always did was we delivered the promise to our owners. Our owners were our key. And we started writing 30 to 40% of our sales from owners. Owners buying additional time or additional weeks or referrals from owners. And you can't do that if you don't deliver. I've always believed in the products I sell. I think it's critical. You have to create a good proposition, present it in the best way possible, create a brand to deliver value, and, it works.
and consistency. You've got to be consistent.
And it's not easy because we had a construction company, a sales and marketing company, a management company, a hotel company. We had all finance company, all these to make that work fluidly for the clients. So that was fun, and Ted and I had a partner, Ted Costas, and we decided it was time to exit because we felt that the business. It was about the time that Marriott came in, and there were talks about Hyatt and all the other big U.S. billion-dollar companies were coming in and going to be competition in the future. And I always felt the management was the key to success, and I wasn't going to be able to compete. Buy for 10 million euros a beachfront property in Marbella and build what they built. So I thought, well, maybe now's a good time to exit. So we were able to sell the timeshare business at a good profit, and it was a very good deal. I thought at 46 I'd retire. And
At 46?
Yeah. After that, I said, well, I'll retire and I'll just play golf and relax. And 6 months, couldn't do it. It's like going crazy. Jeez, what are you going to do every day? I mean, I don't know how these guys do it, So I look at it as work sport. As soon as you stop using the brain and, having fun,
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Work doesn't have to be boring. You don't have to be an accountant looking at Excel spreadsheets every day, right? The work can be meeting people, just like we're doing today.
Yeah.
And understanding and learning and growing, right? And if you stop doing that at 46, you're not going to last very long, right?
No.
Am I right?
No, I mean, you probably end up, most of these guys do something else anyway. But so I decided to do something else. I was on the 10th hole in Miascol on the tee. I still remember it. We just hit our balls, Chris McCarthy and myself, and we walked down the hill. And Chris said, what are you going to do next? I said, why don't we do a real estate business? That's how it started.
And when was that?
That would have been, late 97, yeah? Yeah, late 97. We opened Viva in 98.
You know what the Spanish real estate is now, but what was it like then?
Okay, back then it was a very fragmented mom-and-pop type operation, generally speaking. There was one big operator, which was InterRealty. So first I looked to acquire his business, and that meeting was interesting. He wasn't really interested in selling, and nothing came of it. But what I did learn is the competition is very low. So I said, there's no barriers of entry, Chris. Let's do it ourselves. So Chris and I put together a 5-year plan, and I put 75% of the money and he put 25%, and off we went. And really never looked back. I think the business went very, very well. We kept beating all the records and setting new benchmarks for the industry and coming up with new ways to enhance the business. We had a Hot Properties magazine, which was at the time unique. It was quite a magazine, quite an undertaking, a whole department put together. But we paid for that out of people taking ads out, owners that wanted to sell their property. And so that worked. And then we, like I said earlier, with the road signs we were talking about in the early days. But then we went to multiple offices because at that time the internet wasn't really where it is at all today. And so when you open an office, you would get people driving in, and we would have to remember the search and match questionnaire. We'd sell them the properties on that system, and the MLS was just getting started. But really back when I say mom and pop operation, they were just that, and they were closed. The offices were not open for the clients because they were closed weekends. They're closed for the siesta in the afternoon from 1 to 5. We just put a big road sign up, and it said, Viva Estates, open all day, every day. And that was it. And then those 4 road signs, people would come around and say, here, Viva, they're really huge. You had one little office, but we had a marketing exposure.
So, mate, I want to go into Viva Estates because Viva Estates was when I arrived in 2004 was the big show.
Yeah.
When Viva started, I guess you may have been classed as a disruptor. A disruptor, is quite a common term these days. I want to come in and disrupt the market. With that being something that
both of us have been in the township business. We wanted to take the fundamental business attitude that you have in organization. We had the sales team were specialists in selling. The listing team were specialists in listing. The marketing team was specialists in getting clients. Finance team was specialists in providing finance, so that each person could focus on the things that they did best and were the happiest doing. Salespeople are not typically very good organized. We even had a completion team that would actually go to the notary. So the salespeople would be free to work the clients and sell, and that worked very, very well. So that was just one of the things that we did, but always trying to build a brand. We did a lot with that, and we would take out 4 pages in the local newspaper and our little ad, and we would be able to tell a story in there. We'd have the hot properties. And then we were the first to really go into exhibitions in England at the time. And we would go, and unlike what I remember the day we went to Earl's Court, Chris and I, on a Saturday. So let's see what they're doing up there. And there was a property exhibition. It was about 11:30 on a Saturday morning. It should be full of clients. We walked in there, and there were hardly any clients. They were all exhibitors, but no clients. And they would give you could rent a little booth with a blue tack, we used to call it, and you stick your pictures up there. And I walked around and I said, Chris, listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do our own exhibition, because the only person making money here is the exhibitor. And so what we did, was a guy named Fernando Garces, fantastic guy and a rainmaker, and he was in charge of the marketing, and he went out and sold the space in the hot properties. And he went out and sold the space in the exhibition. So we would make the booth for you. What do you want? We had a whole company that could design the booth. We would collect about £350,000 for an event, 3-4 day event, and we spend every bit of it on getting clients. We were everywhere. We were in the newspaper, we were on the TV, we were in the subways, we had people riding around on bikes, we were taking people from other events. We would deliver 2,500 people over a weekend, couples.
And these events were in the UK, for example, specifically Spain.
Yeah, we had about 10 different locations, and we would run sometimes 2 or 3. And on a weekend, we might write 100 sales, all subject to inspection, and some of them would not complete. But we also would run a hot weekend program where people could come down and, if they didn't buy, get the weekend refunded. So we tried always new ways to get clients, and of course that works for a while. But then 6 months later, there's 100 of these things going on in the UK, and then of course you have your diminishing return.
Exactly, because when I came in 2004, the exhibition thing was quite set up already. But yeah, Viva Estates were the first ones to do it, because then you had all the others that were still, doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah, we were first in many things, and that's always the thing they say in marketing: be first. Tesla's first. We're not Tesla, but and we had a great time, and we really spent a lot of time on training, client services. We got a lot of leads from referrals. Again, we got a lot of leads through our web, which, and we didn't need to use Google and that at the time. I think where we missed it, and I actually, it came to a point where I think it was 2005, 2004, we already saw, it was the second quarter of 2004, we already saw the marketing leads dropping a little bit and the cost going up. And the prices, if you remember, had gone crazy. They're up and up and up and up. And there were finance companies out there, not yourselves, offering 110% finance. So people buy 2 apartments with money in their pocket. It was crazy. They were financing everybody. That was the whole bubble that caused the 2008 and ultimately problem. But so we saw the market changing, and we didn't react quick enough to the new way to get clients because the internet was getting stronger. Now we had the same number, 17 offices, probably needed 4. And so, yeah, Chris and I actually came to a point where he had one idea of where to go, and with the company I had another, so he decided to buy me out, and I left in 2006. And, it still worked very well for a while, but 2008, 2009 was just horrendous worldwide, and, it was a really difficult period.
Anyone in the finance business are quite jealous of Viva Estates because you had Green Independent.
That's right. I missed that one. I didn't want to mention it.
But I have to mention it because Green Independent were the first real mortgage broker to be on the Costa del Sol.
Actually, some of the people working for you now, I think, used to work there.
Stuart Weeks.
Yeah, Stuart, he's a great guy.
Stuart Weeks.
No, Douglas was a great guy. And this, again, that was something that Chris came up with because he knew Douglas. And he said, look, why don't we do this? You own 25% of the business. And we would give clients a chance to do an income qualification through an independent confidential source to see, what they should be looking at. Because a lot of people think they can buy something and it's no good to show them a property that they can't afford.
See, I love that. I love that because I love it when real estate agents embrace finance like that, because without money, you're not buying anything. And it's a complex transaction in terms of the financials. It's not like buying a car.
Oh, and they're in a foreign country from and the banks, the Spanish banks, it's very difficult to do business, as you know. You need a person in the middle that can take. Here's the information. This is how the bank needs to see it in Spanish, and know who to talk to and which banks for which client. And that's what you guys do so well.
So I always looked at Viva Estates. I always looked at you from afar, thinking, yeah, they got it right. But 2008.
Yeah, but that's right. And that was, that was like off a cliff. That wasn't. But anyway, on from there, I did some development, Casablanca, which was 100 and altogether about 200 units, villas, apartments. Even there, we like to think of different ways. And it was a lot of townhouses. And townhouses, people, the non-Spanish buyers don't really like, usually, in the past. They'd rather have an apartment or a villa. And even today, that's kind of it. But the Spanish won't pay the money. They don't have the money, the foreigners. So I said, okay, let's create a lock and leave villa. Yeah, that looks and feels like a villa, but it follows the rules of a townhouse. And so you'd have one connecting wall. I think it had to be a meter of a connecting wall, and you'd stagger them. And they have the front door, and they go in, and it was like having their own home. And they had all the benefits and space and privacy, luxury of a villa with their own pool if they wanted, but not all the upkeep and worry. So they lock it and leave it. So that went very well. At the time, they were selling townhouses for about $450,000, and we were getting $650. It was a bigger, nicer unit, but it was basically the same product. So we did the same thing with villas, and that leads me. Well, I jump over to Higaron West. That's all right. Yeah, I was. I think at the time, I was doing some consulting, and I got a call from a very good friend of mine, Mark Farber. Oh, I know what I was doing. I was with Dunluce Benary at the time. That's correct. And we were actually trying to sell Aranya, the land, which is now called Santa Monica, and came up with the name Santa Monica. They were 2,000-meter plots for villas in a beautiful location below Benalmádena del Pueblo. And the only way to do that was autopromotor. And what that needed was a big partner in that. Somebody to go in and build 3 or 4, and it would have flown out. But to try to talk to a client conceptually about paying $500,000 for a plot and paying another $2 million for a villa, and being entrepreneur was a tough one.
Without proof of concept.
Yeah, without proof of concept. That's correct. So that wasn't going great. So we said, well, let's bring in a big partner. So I went to Urbina because I knew Mark Farber, one of the two founders. And I said, look, we've got this great plot. Just needs a bit of capital and, build 5 units and let's do it. And so they came and looked, came again, and then went back to meet with Mark and Thomas, the two owners. I said, Richard, we're not interested in that. We're interested in you. I said, oh, really? He said, yeah, we just closed this deal. It's land over here next to Higueron, and we'd like you to come in and be the commercial director and set it all up. And, basically everything to do with whatever you need for the sales and marketing, And I said, okay. So basically I had the opportunity, without pressure, to just sit down and think, what should we do here? What does the land lend itself to? What do people want to buy next year in 5 years' time? Not what they've been doing in the past. And we hired a very well-known world architects, Broadway Milan. They had offices around the world. I think there were 50 or 60 architects working for them. And so they were able to give us some feedback as well. Plus, being from the U.S., I saw what they were doing there. A lot of people were starting to talk about lifestyle, but they weren't delivering it.
This is 2016, 17.
This would have been 2016, you're right. So I was brought in November 2016, and we had Mark and Thomas, myself, and a few small team, a very in-depth look at what to build. And at the end of the day, we created Higueron West. Even the name, I had trouble getting that through. They wanted to call it Higueron 2, T-O-O with a smiley face. Now the West, we're west of Higueron. It's a step up. And
I would just like to remind people that Spain, Costa del Sol in 2016 is nothing compared to what it is today. Yeah?
Oh, totally different. Just almost like when I first came to Spain, and now it's totally different. Yeah. You could buy a 2-bedroom there for $275,000, and now it's $575,000. So, Ark and Thomas were able to raise the money through a U.S. fund, and we acquired this land. Very good price, but it needed a huge reshape and infrastructure and a huge investment. But it was an opportunity to create a concept. And I said, let's take, and Mark was very much of this. We had all these drawings of, we had 100,000 square meters of green area. Now, again, it wasn't private green area, but it was in a resort. So we were able to create a true lifestyle concept. And we had, of course, the Hilton Hotel, the paddle, the tennis, the gym, the spa, the walking, the hiking, the biking, all the different trail stuff, and the concierge and so forth. And that went very well. And back then, the market was Scandinavian, Dutch, Belgian, primarily. Very few Spanish, very few other nationalities. And in 42 months, we sold 800 units. It was $390 million worth of sales, which had never been done at the time before in that price range. And so it was, it really set. And what was that? Again, I go back to the theory of the management. I brought in a few really good people, and they brought in a few good people. And with that team, we were able to do. We had 5 salespeople that would take the client from A to Z, and develop a relationship that you need when you sell property, and build a trust. And the product was good. We did everything. When you have that much time, because we didn't actually. I said November till the 25th of August we launched it. I had a long time to get everything. Actually, I couldn't quite wait. I did the first 50 sales myself. I started selling them in June. They said, "Oh, you can't. The word will get out. We have to." I said, "No, don't worry about it." So I just boom, 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 boom. It was good. Off of an architect's book, nothing else. It was a deposit, subject to. But yeah.
But the whole idea of it here on West, from my perspective, was new. The whole lifestyle thing, right?
Well, there were some people talking about it, but it was never really delivered. It wasn't anywhere near what we did. We created Live, Work, Play. Talk about a brand. That is a strong brand. And that, we were sitting in a room and talking about it, and they wanted, this name, and we kept going Higueron West. And actually it was Lenore, who was the marketing director, and myself said, Live, Work, Play. Just do it, Nike, Live, Work, Play. A lot of people, they would quote it later, and Actually, Thomas used it on some of their other, like the Mondays. He got into co-working. He used a similar idea. So it was a bunch of things coming together at the right time. The market was just coming back, but it wasn't there. And the money that was put in the product was right. So I was able to say, how many 2 beds and 3 beds, what size, what's the layout? Terraces are very important, so we went bigger on the terraces. Qualities are important. The furniture, we used Pedro Pena for the show out. It's like $200,000 worth of furniture. And we built, Mark said to me, what should we do? We just do a prefab? Or no, build the entire showroom. Boom. In 90 days, we built the showroom. It was really, and we had a license because it was like a sales office. We called it a temporary structure. And we actually built a show road. It was like 300 meters of road, 2 lanes in each direction with the landscaping, the park benches, the olive trees, the lighting. So people could get a feel for what they were buying, and it was all off plan.
Never heard of that, man. Show road.
Show road. I said, that was Mark. He's with the mayor in the town hall. He says, we're trying to bend laws. He said, oh, this is like a show road, Yeah. So it's good. We had and then we got into it. We were maybe 2 years into it. We were selling so fast that everything was starting to get busy. So the town halls are getting further and further backed up with licenses. First phase, we could deliver the license in 6 months, 6 months. Second phase, 9 months. By the time we got to the third phase, it was over a year. I remember Thomas walking into my office, the owner of, one of the 2 owners of Urbanian. How can I help, Rich? You want to help? We're still doing 30 deals a month, but yeah. Okay, I'll tell you what you can do. This is what we're going to do. Currently, we're taking a $10,000 deposit, and then when the license is issued, they pay 30%, and we pay the agent. That's over a year. Agents are not going to do that. They're going to use us to sell something else. So instead of taking 10, we're going to take 10. 30 days later, we're going to take another 40,000. So we're going to have 50,000 euros that's going to be non-refundable at that point. And then they're going to pay 30% when the license comes less. But we're going to pay 50% of the agent commission then 30 days after they sign the reservation. And that just, no one raise it. What are you doing paying commissions before you sign the title deed, But he was able to do that, and I got to hand it to Thomas. There was the board of the fund was 12 people. He had to call them in the right order at the right time and pitch each one of them because they all thought he was nuts, And he finally had to say, "Okay, forget it. I'll do it myself. Don't need you guys. No, we're partners. I'm partners." But it worked, and at the end of the day, we didn't lose anything. The book went to 2.4 million. That was the exposure at one point. And we got it all back. And that was the kind of flexibility and contact. You have to react, and I think some of these bigger companies, Maynors or whatever, are fantastic, but they don't have the flexibility to react quickly to trends in the market and so forth and innovate. Yeah, there's so many, have to go to head office and they'll meet in the quarter and then there's no one from sales selling it, so they're going to say no. But so it was a lot of things. Being in the right place at the right time, bringing the right people in, delegating and inspiring people, the way that we sold it, the way that we got our clients, the agents are very important, very important. Serge Leblatz speaks 7 languages. He was our agent coordinator. Meeting the agents, the events that we used to do, the follow-up that we did, paying people quickly, 7.5% instead of 5%. I mean, all those things accumulated into what, from the outside, looks like, my God, but you had to have the right product, the right team, the right, the right ingredients, and the concept, the lifestyle. And when you put all that together, you gotta win.
So the concept, the lifestyle thing, is a big thing now all over.
Of course, they're all using it now. I remember when we started, I invited, what's it called? Anyway, it's a big Asian in Marbella, and they had about 25 people. I brought them into Adron for the presentation, and they said, "That sounds good, but is this Benno Medina, Fuengirola?" I said, "No, this is Higueron West. This is nestled between the Mijas Mountains and the Mediterranean Sea, and it's a short drive to either down Madrid or Fuengirola, but it's Higueron." And then after the sales started, no one ever asked that question. And we got a lot of our clients from Marbella because they had the money. And I got a phone call from Roy Perez. Actually, we've been friends who've known each other, or, competitors as well for 35 years.
Right.
He started, Club La Costa was called, when I started in Tenerife. Actually, I think he might have been 6 months before me, but
Okay.
so we've known each other a long, long time. And because actually, if you go out west, he said, "What are you doing?" I don't know why. He said, "Come on in, let's have a talk." And he made me an offer, as I said, I couldn't refuse. And I'm enjoying it. He wants to take the new thing, which I think is the next concept. It's not that new. I saw it in the States, in Florida, 10 years ago, branded residence.
Okay.
And it's all over Dubai. It's all over different parts of the world. It's actually doubled in size in the last 4 years, and it's projected to double again in the next 4 years. So it's a lot of different things. Sometimes it's a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or, Dolce Gabbana or, a
Porsche design,
perfume or Porsche or whatever.
Yeah.
They use that, which gives it a certain sense of quality and esteem. And, when you're saying I own a Ferrari resort, then, but it's nice when you actually add to that the hotel brand. And Roy, he had sold his timeshare business, and Ramada and Wyndham were actually managing some of those businesses. So he knew that.
So Roy is, what's the name of this company?
Roy Perez?
Roy Perez.
Idyllic. Idyllic, yeah. No, in the timeshare days, it was called Club La Costa. But they closed the marketing side of that down, and all the clients' assets are held in trust, so everything's fine. And he's got a very happy owner base that continue to come down and have great holidays. We get a lot of good stories that we can show to clients. But he got out of the timeshare business into the real estate business, but he did it through branded residence. And the first one was in Marbella. It was called the Marbella Golf Resort, Marbella Marriott Golf Resort. Important. When they added that word Marriott, and he said, there we go. And they did something where Marriott clients can stay there and they can stay in Marriott, and it really works. That was an apart hotel, which had a restriction of 45 days use. And they found that a little bit of a challenge in the beginning. And with that kind of product, you need to bring a client that's looking more for an investment with a holiday attached. What we have, both in La Cala and Wyndham Grand La Cala Golf Resort, actually Wyndham Grand La Cala Golf Residence at the La Cala Golf Resort, is a lovely, it's called Wyndham Grand because they award the grand status to 1% of the 9,200 hotels they have worldwide. And Wyndham is one of them. They also have another one in their other development, which I'd like to call the Wyndham Village by the Sea. They have a Wyndham Grand there. It's in Mijas on the seafront. I mean, you've got the road, but you're walk across the street. It's a beautiful resort in La Cala, and all the highest quality materials, and it's a Wyndham Grand. So you get, what do you get with that? They have 110 million members.
110 million
members that can be leveraged to come and stay in your resort. They have the brand standards. There's a book like this with 200 pages of all the ways that you have to run your resort and the qualities that you have to have. It down to how do you fold the toilet paper. We've been in the hotel business for 40 years because we would, again, like I did with the timeshare, he would provide great accommodation, deliver the promise for the owners, and a lot of them would buy more and so forth. So I'd been in the hotel business, but it was time to take it to the next level. So he did a partnership, I guess franchise partnership with Wyndham, where they're really big in America. They're really big in the Far East. They're big in many parts of the world. They're in 95 countries. But in Europe, it's Ramada more recognized than Wyndham. Although Wyndham is the blanket, Ramada is one of their subsidies. They have many different hotels, about 22 different. So the idea was it was a win-win where Wyndham would have a good base to build their business from. We'd get the exclusive on the Costa del Sol, and we would benefit from taking it to another level. And you talk about the delivery, the confidence level of the client. And to really have the concierge, we have 24-hour reception, 24-hour security. doctor on site. In some of the resorts, if you go down to Estepona, you might go in there. There's complexes and find half of the wreckers down, and the pool's shut because the lifeguard not there. Okay, it's nice to get out of the cold, but it's not a lifestyle experience. So this is where we can really, we're running 80% occupancy year round. Not as a year round, the average we're running 100 in the summer and about 65, 70 in the off season, which is unheard of in the hotel business. So, and that's the Wyndham brand, plus people that we have that are also work with the Wyndham to help maximize that. So we can deliver a very good holiday experience. And what I say, the question is, I think it's the evolution of property. Okay, now everyone's talking lifestyle. Okay, very good. But pricing, I said before, when I started at Higaron, it was $275 for a 2-bed. That's like $575. And if you look at the new ones being built, or more, if it has a sea view and a big terrace, $775. So easily 3 beds are over $1 million. Houses are all well over $1 million. So you get to a point where people sit back a little bit and they say, well, really, yeah, I want my home in the sun, but are we going to live there? Well, maybe eventually we'd like to, but right now, no. Probably 1 or 2 months a year. So do they really want to tie up that much capital to have a holiday and then have to worry about it when they're not in? All the stories we hear down here about squatters, break-ins, and do you really want to show up for your holiday, open the door, and there's a leak in the ear, and this doesn't work, and the internet doesn't work, and you spend the first couple of days sorting all that out, but you just want to have everything looked after for you. So that's really a strong message that it's working around the world. And it does add, according to studies, 25 to 30% of the value of a property, having a branded residence to a non-branded residence. So I think it's a great thing. What we do is we have 2 products. At the moment, actually we have several, but 2 classes of products. One is units that we buy and completely renovate. It could be a whole development, or it can be units within one of our developments that we get back or we buy, and we completely gut the unit down to, new kitchens, new bathrooms, new strip the walls down, all new light, new electric, new plumbing, windows, new furniture, and we about $50,000 worth of renovation on a 2-bedroom and renovation furniture. And then we sell that to people before we do that. We pay a 5% guarantee the first year because they're not going to be able to use it for 6 or 7 months till we get this done. Maybe it's done quicker, but they still get 5% regardless. And then after that, they get 75% of the revenue. So it's a way that when you sleep at night, your property is making money for you. And I say when you stay in there, because we have clients that are staying there that come in to find out, I said, well, you're actually staying in a unit that's owned by somebody. That $2,500 you pay, somebody else, would you like to be that person? So try to put it into, but where we have the challenge is that, again, like maybe where's Higaron, or, all the different objections people have with. Most of the clients coming down, we were talking, Alfredo and I a little before, he said surveys are showing about 40% of the clients want a second home to use when, blah, blah. 40% are happy to do some kind of rental, and the other are mixed. So what I saw is that it's so easy to start talking about the rental and about this and about that, and that's not the main thing. I'd say that's the backup. You have to say, first of all, our resorts here are all residential, so they can use it as much as they want. You just have to call and book it, take it out of the rental system. But it's totally flexible, and they get an income as well. But you have to get that to the agent and client, because they think, I don't want to rent it. I remember at Higaron West, there wasn't anybody that wanted to rent their unit. Maybe 10. They did, no, I wouldn't rent it out to somebody stay in my house, stay in my bed. That was the attitude. Now it's like 60% of them are renting it because they know they can get 40,000 euros in the summer.
So how's it going with Idyllic?
I'm working alongside James Lavelle, who's their director of real estate. He's been there since 14 years. He's a really, really very forward-thinking guy. We interviewed him with Alfredo, and a few months ago.
Does the Wyndham brand sit well with you because you're from Boston, from the States? And
Yes, very much so. Yeah, the Americans, we talked about the Americans and figuring the secret to this is more and more of them coming. They were a little tired of the U.S. and all the shenanigans. It's unbelievable when you watch the TV. Is this real? This is all we can get for the presidents of America? But a lot of them are romantic about Spain. They just haven't really discovered the way England and France, and they've been there before. And a lot of them would like to have an investment in Europe.
well, if there are any Americans out there that are going to watch this interview, it's good for them to know that the brand Wyndham is investing in Spain.
Yeah.
And I'd like to inform them that, investing in Spain is safe. There is finance available. Spanish people in general, but Spanish banks are very open for U.S. investors to come.
Yeah, they are, because the U.S. is very transparent in the way everything is done, and it's very easy to do credit checks and yeah.
We've been targeting and working with U.S. clients for at least 5 years, and we're physically, actually marketing U.S. clients because it ticks all the right boxes for Spanish lenders.
It's a huge opportunity.
Every client from the US said, I want to get pre-approved for my mortgage before I start wasting my time looking at real estate. Because that's what I do at home. That's what they say. This is what I do at home. Before I go and look at a piece of property, I get myself financially approved first before I go and waste anyone, especially mine. And then that's why I love the US clients, because they insist on being pre-approved. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the thing. How long have you been in Spain? How you arrived here?
Let me see. I'm a young 73. I think I was here 36 years ago.
36 years. And how many units do you think you've shifted, directly or indirectly?
Well, there were 40,000 timeshare owners, so that's 40,000 sales, and 10,000 units in Viva, and then there were 800 at Huron West and developments and other things, another 1,000 maybe, so quite a few. But, the market changes. You have to move with it. And then, I learn every day. And if you don't, I like when Warren Buffett, he says he reads a book or two every day. He's 94. I mean, I just think you never stop learning.
For any young person starting out in the Spanish real estate business today, and there's many, because there's loads of real estate agents right now, what advice would you give to that person?
Do your homework and find a company that you feel comfortable with, that takes a lot of interest in the people and the training and delivering what they're selling. I think it's hard to say. I mean, for me, I think when you're younger, you're more willing to take risks. And I said, as you get older, you're less willing. And I think that's one of the, you might say, like the tennis ball bounce on the net can go either way. And a lot of the deals and success I've had, it fell the right way. So you have to take chances to calculate a risk, and it's good to do when you're young. So, and try to catch the curve, because it's a lot easier if you're, right now, my son, he's graduated university. He bought a car shop, a car repair and painting shop. It's taught him a lot. He's learned a lot. He's turned a loss-making business to profit-making business, but he said it's a lot of work for the money, So it's not scalable. It's not. But I just get in the right place, the right time to get in the timeshare business at the very beginning. Got in the real estate business early in Spain. Got in this in Huron West at the right time, and now this branded residence. So hopefully that says the continuation. So I think try to find something that, a good company with, and try to catch the curve. Real estate down here, one thing you didn't ask, I still think it's very strong because of some of the things you said, because of the COVID situation and people reflecting on their lives and realizing technology, where it's going, and actually, why am I living here in the dark and the cold, and when I could be living in Spain? And I can fly once a week or once a month or whatever, and that's a huge pressure, and that's one of the reasons the prices are going, because they can't keep up with the demand. And land is going up, so get in while you can. And thank you very much.
On that note, yeah, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Richard, and thank you.
Thank you.